Hi, welcome to Beer Grilled Skinny, where a mother-daughter team embraces the random. I'm Lorianne, the daughter, and
I'm Justine, the mama.
Today we're going to be talking about breast cancer, which can be very tragic, and I realize this. We have been both lucky and unlucky on the breast cancer front because my mom, I, and my best friend have all had breast cancer. That's the unlucky part. The lucky part is that we're all still alive.
Yes.
Let's talk about your experience first.
Well, I think when I think about my experience, I do have a bit of anger because when they...
I think you mean a bit of rage, but okay.
Well, maybe that too. When I was told that I had breast cancer, obviously there's the fear that covers you, and you want to make the right decision to get to go ahead and live a long time. And the advice I was given was to do chemo and then have surgery to take the cyst out.
Wasn't a cyst.
What was it?
Lumps? It was a tumor.
Lumps.
Tumor.
Tumor, okay.
An actual tumor.
And if I had been told the risk of chemo and how it could kill my autoimmune system, I would have chosen to be boobless. Come on, people.
I know. It's interesting when you study the history of chemotherapy. They got this idea from using mustard gas in Vietnam.
Well, how sweet is that?
And so it's the same thing. They just
so
use
does that mean when it was used in Vietnam, all kinds of cancer broke out over there?
No, it's to get rid of cancer, but if you use it enough as a weapon, people die.
Okay.
And that's the whole thing. It's a poison that they used on the enemy.
Yeah.
And then they decided, in small doses, this would be great for fighting this illness.
And what was interesting was when I was, halfway through the treatment, maybe a bit more than my doctor says, should we schedule a mastectomy? And I'm like, I wonder if she has me confused with someone else.
That's not what she said. I was there. I'm sorry that this messed up your memory. Yeah. She just said we could skip straight to the lumpectomy.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yes. And then so just to make it clear to the audience, she had two different doctors. She had a surgeon and she had an oncologist. The oncologist was very gung-ho about the chemotherapy. The surgeon probably would have preferred to go straight to surgery, but obviously she had been beaten into submission by the oncologists, who seemed to think that you should use chemotherapy first to shrink the lump before taking the lump out. Now, Mom had 8 treatments over the course of a few months, and here's what they did to her. She'd have a treatment, and then she would spend at least 12 hours on the floor of her bathroom puking her guts up and wondering if she was going to live. It was really awful. But they told us this is what we needed to do. And finally, she went to her surgeon and said, I can't take this anymore. And the surgeon said, well, let's go straight to the lumpectomy. Then we went to talk to the oncologist, and he's like, no, you have to finish all of the chemotherapy first.
And what in the world drives that opinion?
Well, I believe that's called profit margins.
Well, I think about the money, too. You know, I was a patient accounts manager, so I know how vital the whole money management thing is. And I reckon if you do build a cancer center with your hospital, you have to justify paying for it.
If anyone ever wants to weigh in on our podcasts, I do a lot of research about this stuff, and I would love to hear from doctors that specialize in cancer that could explain why you would give this kind of advice to someone, because it has never made sense to me why you wouldn't just take the lump out and then possibly look into chemo to make sure that it didn't spread.
And I don't know yet why they decided they had to do radiation either. Because after I finished the chemo, they decided I had to have radiation.
Well, you and my best friend had the same kind of cancer. It's HER2 something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't write everything down, y'all, but if you look up her too, you'll get the idea. The difference between me and the two of them. Okay, so 2016, Mom gets breast cancer. 2018, my best friend gets breast cancer. They both had the same kind. 2019, I get breast cancer, but mine was weird. It was this thing called the Phyllodes tumor. And that one does not respond to chemo. So that's the part where I am blessed or lucky or however you want to look at it, because, they just went ahead and took the whole breast. So I didn't have to have chemo, but I lost my breast. And then they gave me a breast implant.
Know, I would have sacrificed my breast had I known what I was going to go through.
Well, if you had known.
Because it ain't a pretty thing now with the surgery.
Exactly, but they would have wanted to give you an implant. And let's start talking about implants and what they do. There's this myth out there that implants are safe now. But the reality is that it's a billion-dollar industry from the pharmaceutical companies that is literally not safe. Now, not all women suffer from illnesses as a result of breast implants. I don't know why that is. But a lot of people react to it. I guess you could say it's almost like an allergic reaction. There are heavy metals in the silicone that surrounds the implant. And it really doesn't matter if you got saline implants or silicone implants, because the thing that encases it is silicone, no matter what kind of implant you get.
And attaches itself to the rest of the body.
Okay, that's not exactly an accurate way to portray it. It attaches itself to the chest wall.
Okay.
It attaches itself to the rib cage, and it makes removing it quite difficult, because if you don't do it properly, you can end up with a collapsed lung.
Yeah. And with all of this, we still have women who do the implants and they don't even have cancer. That somewhere in our culture we say, oh, we must have bigger boobs. I don't know.
Well, I know. I've even known people that already have someone in love with them, but they just feel like they need to have them.
Yeah.
I know that my best friend considered it because she was so dissatisfied with being flat-chested. I only did this implant because I was in shock over the fact that I had cancer. And they said, we're taking your whole boob, and here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Now, I've done a lot of research. It's too bad I wasn't in Texas. Let me tell you what, Texas is the plastic surgery capital of the U.S., possibly the world, because they're the pageant capital. And I have found a guy.
I wonder what that means. Beauty pageant.
Well, what other kind of pageant is there?
Oh, well, there are other pageants.
Okay. Well, I was talking about beauty pageants, and that's where all the women go to get the fancy plastic surgery. And now I'm going over there to talk to a fella. I'm not going to say his name right now until I find out if he's actually good at what he does. I will totally advertise him if he is. But I'm going over there to do this thing. They have this new thing, and this might have come out in the last few years. I haven't finished my research, but they can rebuild your breast. And every time I say that, I feel like I'm watching The Bionic Man when they say, we have the technology. Mm-hmm. We can rebuild him. And so I feel like I'm going to have a bionic breast at the end of this. But it's called a flap, where they take fat from other parts of your body. And this is not the same thing where they just put fat in there and hope it takes. They take fat and the blood vessels, stick it in there, and then they do this thing called microsurgery, where they attach all the blood vessels and they make it work.
So, with your best friend, what's going on with her right now?
What do you mean?
So, she had this breast cancer. She hadn't ever gotten implants, right?
Correct.
And so what's she doing now in relation to that?
I mean, she had an implant after she also had to have a mastectomy. I think it's because her breast wasn't large enough to just take the lump out, unlike yours.
I had big boobs.
And I did too, but not big enough to fight that Phyllodes tumor, which, oh my goodness, I looked at pictures of those. If you don't take care of it, it just grows until you just have this giant thing hanging off of your body. And what's interesting is they said it could come back. And if it does, it's most likely to come into my lungs. And right now, my best friend has a lung tumor. Even though she didn't have a Phyllodes tumor, she just had breast cancer. Now she has this weird tumor that they're treating with this new kind of chemotherapy that doesn't make you sick. I don't have the details on that yet, but she's just going along feeling fine while she's doing her chemo treatments.
That is so good.
And it's such an unusual tumor that she's actually getting studied.
Ooh.
But what concerns me is, how's this for superstitious? When we were 18, she got her wisdom teeth out. They were impacted. She got them out. A couple months later, I found out mine are impacted. I went to this crazy doctor who said I needed to see a psychiatrist for temporomandibular joint issues for 6 months before he would take the wisdom teeth out. And I was like, but I can see on the x-ray that my wisdom teeth are just growing into the rest of my teeth. Why would I want to wait 6 months? And he argued with me. So I went home and called up my best friend and said, who is your dentist? And he was like, yeah, I'm happy to take them out right now. And I had all 4 of them out. Of course, my mom thought it would be neat if I did it without any kind of sedation. I don't know why.
Well, only sedation if you need it.
Uh-huh. They're taking out 4 teeth
Yeah.
that haven't even come through the gums.
Well, they wouldn't if they're growing in the wrong direction. They're just going to grow right into your other teeth.
And you think it would have been, you still think after all these years that I should have just sat there with my mouth open. Anyway, we've had this argument many times, but the dentist said, I recommend the sedation. So I went with his recommendation.
Yes.
And it was the kind where they just stick it in you. It's not quite like general anesthesia. They just stick it in your arm, and out you go, and then you wake up pretty quick after it's over. And then my mom, I'm sorry to rag on my mom today. I know it's right after the day after Mother's Day, but my mom thought it would be a great idea. I was on Percocet, and she's like, you should go see the show Cats.
We already had the tickets.
Exactly. Don't miss out on it. You got to have faith. So I went. I don't remember much of the show. I went with my best friend. I think she was over hers. She did the driving, thankfully.
Experiences we've had trying to adapt to life on planet Earth.
I know.
So much more to learn. I really want to know, and if y'all would offer this information, it would be great, how these things are dealt with in other countries.
I know. I'd be curious because, we've already discussed this, but I had that cyst removed from, I had the whole ovary removed because I had a cyst on it. And the most expensive aspect of it was having to pay for parking. But that wasn't the most beautiful thing about it. What was beautiful about it is how they triaged it, everything about it.
Because that's Australia.
I know. That was Australia 20 years ago. I don't know what they're like now.
Yeah.
They took it out the next day. I have this allergy. As long as we're just talking about healthcare stuff, I have this allergy to latex. And usually after surgery, they stick a catheter up your urethra, and it's usually made of latex. And every time I've had that done, it clogs up because I'm allergic to it. So I'll be drinking all of the water that they tell me to drink, and my bladder fills up until I feel like it's going to explode, and it won't come out through the catheter. And on this particular occasion, I said, I need you to take this out of me so that I can pee. And the nurse said, oh, I can't do that without the doctor's permission. And it was so bad, the pressure was so bad, that I said, if you don't take it out, I will. So she gave in, and she's like, all right, but here's a bedpan. You're going to have to pee in it and prove so I don't get in trouble with the doctor. And I'm like, that will not be a problem. I pretty much overflowed the bedpan once she took it out. And that's how I learned that I was allergic to latex. I'm going to need to mention that. That's the other thing regarding this breast cancer thing. I ended up with an implant that one could call botched. Nothing about it is like a breast. It's just like this weird thing on my chest.
Half of a ball.
Exactly. It does feel like a ball, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's say a softball, half of a softball.
Maybe not even soft. Yeah.
But I mean like the size of a
Yeah.
softball.
Yeah.
And so I'm headed to Texas to get that taken care of. I do not intend to get another implant. Again, I'm not judging women that get implants, other than I want you to really investigate
Yeah, that's
the
yeah.
side effects of implants. Do not
that's my
trust
concern.
the implant
Yeah.
industry. It's a $1 billion industry done by pharmaceuticals.
You want bigger boobs? Really do your homework on what that means.
I agree, because you can get the flap thing that I was talking about. You
Yeah.
could have fat transferred from your legs or your abdomen into your boobs,
Yeah.
make them bigger, but they're still a part of you. It's all your...
Body. Yeah.
If you can afford it, because I can tell you this, insurance is covering what I'm going through because it was breast cancer. Insurance does not cover what women
Yeah.
go through when they have
Pricey.
implants. It starts at like $15,000 to get them
Pricey.
out. I know. And I've joined a group on Facebook that discusses breast implant illness, which is not an official illness yet, but I promise you it will be eventually
Yeah.
if we can defeat the pharmaceuticals. But these women end up having all of these symptoms like chronic fatigue and rheumatoid arthritis and just all sorts of horrible things happening to them, brain fog. So they have to pony up the money to get it out. Mm-hmm. And
it
I
has
watch
to be,
a lot
and
of
it
them.
has to be taken out, I think you've said, after 10 years.
Yes, and a lot of them wait like 28, 35, 40 years. I guess no one told them.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be having x-rays and MRIs on a regular basis. But I think this is just speculation, and that's why I'm not mentioning her name. I'm not defaming anyone, but my surgeon really did a bad job. I literally, as we just said, it just looks like a softball. Half of a softball attached to my chest.
Yeah.
It was never soft. It's nothing like what I've seen implants to be. I have a friend that has implants, and her breasts feel freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Mine have never felt good.
Yeah.
Have this horrible scar. And the thing that makes me really believe it was botched is because she ended the bill.
Yeah.
The bill just disappeared, and then she ghosted me. Every time I tried to call to make an appointment, everyone was just like, yeah, we'll get back to you.
And the one our friend who has nice ones, even though she's going to have these issues in her future, at the moment,
maybe.
it just looks
Not all
natural.
women do. Not
Well,
all women do
okay.
have issues. It's a percentage basis, just like most illnesses.
Yeah.
She might be fine. And I don't know. I'll have to talk to her again because I don't know if anyone told her that you're not supposed to keep them in past 10 years.
Yeah.
So she will have
I
to
think you told her
decide.
that.
I did. But, she'll have to do the research herself to see if she believes it.
Yeah. To see if issues that she's having with her health might be completely part of that.
Well, let's see. It hasn't been that long, but it could be. But she's also a freaking Marine.
Yeah.
And was totally a badass, but it is so much harder on a woman's body to be a Marine than it is for men. And it's hard on men, too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's really hard on women. It breaks them.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have any female Navy SEALs. They've been trying.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there's not a single one. One woman, I can't remember what she was going for, but it was some sort of special forces, and she passed it,
Uh-huh.
And at the end of it, she was like, well, yay, I passed it. I'm not doing this. She just gave up.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard. This is not what women were built for.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think men are built for it.
That's a hard call because a lot of them come back from war with PTSD, but
That's
yet
what I'm
they
saying.
were able to force their bodies to do stuff, not knowing what it might do to their mind.
Well, that's the thing. Men can force their bodies to do things they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
I'm married to a man who was not special forces, although he could have been,
Yeah.
who forces himself to do things that just aren't right.
Aren't good for his body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And men tend to do that. A lot of people don't realize how much men are all about providing and protecting.
Yeah.
And women
Yeah.
should be more about nurturing and
Well.
family stuff. Oh, look, if you want to have a career, I don't have a problem with that. But I feel like you're in the minority if that's your priority.
I don't
I
know.
feel like
it's
everyone-
hard to know anymore the truth about that. We have to
It's
do a
not
little bit
hard
more
to
digging.
know. We've actually done a lot of digging. I've done a lot of digging. And we have a lot of depressed women because they went down the path of having a career instead of having a family.
Yeah.
It has been great talking to you guys about breast cancer and what we've gone through. It is so great that we survived. I feel so bad for the women who have not survived. At this point, I've studied it enough. Breast cancer is much more survivable than ovarian cancer, and I'm so grateful that I didn't have that. Even though I lost a boob, I still have a good life. Mom lost her hair, but she still has a pretty good life.
Yes, I do. I will not measure my life by my hair. Can we just
You might measure
be
it by
real here?
how you can't go up and down stairs, but we're going to fix that.
Well, I'm working on that.
And we will talk about that more in another episode. If you have any thoughts on this, we would love to hear them, as we always say. So far, none of you are talking. That bothers me. Like, subscribe. I never thought I'd have to say that, but it seems like you don't know unless I tell you. So like, subscribe, comment, let us know how you feel, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you for joining us.
In every moment together, we conquer our fears, with dreams in our hearts and the world in our sight. We're beer grill skinny, ready